7-year-old girl at a Dros restaurant in Pretoria has accused the police of assaulting him during his arrest. 20-year-old Nicolas Ninow made his second court appearance earlier today and abandoned his bail application. The matter has been postponed for further investigation to the 1st of next month. To discuss this matter now, we are joined in our studios in Pretoria by Gugu Xaba. Gugu is Save the Children South Africa Program Director, as I said. She's live from our studios in Pretoria. Good afternoon to you, Gugu. Thank you so much for coming through. Looking at what transpired outside the court today, one is of the view that, this is just one of the few cases where we saw South Africans coming together, regardless of their political affiliation and race.
Good afternoon, and thank you very much for having Save the Children in this. Yes, South Africa has come together. What is concerning for Save the Children is that South Africa comes together in case we would like South Africa to come together in all the cases that we've been reporting, that in every 5 children, 1 child is raped. And that says South Africa's spaces where children are unsafe. And South Africa has a lot of predators, and as you know, one wouldn't know who is a predator and where are they. And now there's a child who is not properly protected from this predator. So it means our spaces are not safe. It means we have a lot of predators that we're not doing something about, and eventually the child becomes a sufferer because they are easily snatched. Let's take an example of Dros. Dros needs to have child safeguarding principles that are practiced within the shop. Plus, parents also need to have the same approach in terms of safeguarding a child. And eventually, the space where the child is and the parents and society around the child is working together to protect a child so that we can be able to prevent such occurrences from a child other than responding when the problem has occurred already.
Now, you talk of, properly protecting children. How do we go about doing that, Gugu? Because really parents or one wouldn't think that your child will be subjected to such pain when visiting a restaurant, which is technically a public place.
Yeah. We talk about protecting children because we know that the predator who raped this child right now has issues that are dating from his upbringing. So the protection needs to begin from each of the homes by individual parents. And we see this as something that you wouldn't expect. But what I'm describing right now is the fact that there are predators, and we should always assume everyone is likely to rape a child. So it means, as a parent, if I take a child to a public place, or as a parent, if I have a child at any point, I need to make sure that they are with a responsible adult. Because as soon as the child is let loose, the predator could be ready to pounce, because when the predator is observing the child, no one is away. So that is why we have a responsibility to have our eyes on the child almost 24 hours. And the space within which, for instance, right now, the child was pulled into a male toilet, and that particular space was empty, and there was no adult to see that this child is being taken into the wrong place. Then it means, again, we need to do more in surveilling the spaces where children are and keep the eye on the child. So that's basically what we mean. Let alone the big issue of developing our caregivers, including parents, in such a way that they bring children up in a way that develops them socio-emotionally, cognitively, and otherwise. Because the act that this boy has conducted on this girl is clearly indicating that he's carrying some baggage in terms of anger, in terms of wanting to physically abuse another. Yeah. Now, question is, where is all that coming from? Mm-hmm. How do we bring up our children so that they are social, emotionally in contact and in touch, and are not, in so much anger as to want to harm another.
All right.
So that's basically what we're talking about.
Yeah, it certainly looks like we have shifted from the world where children can just play in the streets like we used to many, many years ago. But then coming back to what happened outside the court today, we've heard political parties and civil society organizations coming out to say, look, another charge has to be added on the charge sheet, which is that of attempted murder. What do you make of that?
Yeah. I think as Save the Children, we would support what the other parties are saying, more so because the consequences of such an act being committed don't seem to be strong enough, such that the people that commit it think they can do it and at times get away with it. So it is important to raise the punishment that is meted to the people that are committing such acts.
All right. Just a quick one here, Gugu. You have just made a very important point here to say that restaurants should have child safeguarding places itself. Let's just quickly talk about the statement released by Dros. Many people saying that it was the coldest statement ever. It doesn't really say much. What do you make of that as the organization?
Which was the coldest statement?
The statement by Dros. Remember that Dros released a statement immediately after the incident. Not even immediately, but after the incident.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Okay. As Save the Children, we are saying almost all restaurants need to have safeguarding principles, which means the policy in country needs to make it an expectation of restaurants to have child safeguarding, because they were so cold because they don't see the size of the problem that has occurred right now. Look, the child, the 7-year-old's life is almost destroyed because of an act that has happened in a restaurant. And yet the restaurant is part of the community, is providing space for customers, including the child, that they could have protected from this predator. So Dros needs to see the importance of safeguarding from a policy level, from their existence. They need to know that they have a responsibility to protect the customer, including the child that comes in through their doors. In that way, they wouldn't respond and see this as a light issue if government is expecting from a policy level that they take care of children that come into their doors.
All right, Gugu, time constraints. That's where we'll leave it for today. Thank you so much for coming through. Gugu Xaba is Save the Children South Africa Program Director, of course, talking to us about the safety of children, of course, around us, with this particular incident having, caused so much panic amongst parents, more so when they go to public places like restaurants with their kids. All right, we take